It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories in 90 seconds.
On July 4, we're going to celebrate our independence from the virus as we celebrate our independence of our nation.
President Biden remains optimistic about his 4th of July vaccination goal, but the numbers tell a different story, and one demographic in particular is lagging behind.
So I believe that at least between 50 and 60% of the people we vaccinated today are Hispanic or Latino.
Now, one group is leading the way to meet people where they're at.
What government needs to start really understanding is trusting their community-based organizations of color and giving and providing the resources.
The Juneteenth flag goes up at the state capitol and the celebrations get underway in Denver. Tonight, we have a look back at the history of Denver's 5 Points neighborhood.
And we are the gatekeepers for this culture. We are the historians, we're the librarians, we're the storytellers, we're the community activists.
Plus, a youth services center closes in Colorado.
There's some kind of allegations, but those are old and I don't think they're accurate at all.
Now, a father worries about what that means for his son's future.
He is a good kid. He's a gifted kid. He's getting straight A's right now. And this is where we're left.
Good Friday evening, and thank you for watching Denver7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter. We are just 2 weeks away from the 4th of July and President Biden's deadline to hit his vaccination goal of fully vaccinating 160 million people and administering at least one shot to 70% of adults. But CDC data shows we will likely fall short of that goal. Right now, 65% of adults in the U.S. are at least partially vaccinated. 13.6 million would have to get one shot of the vaccine over the next 2 weeks, and that would equate to 756,000 per day. Right now, our nation is averaging 336,000 shots per day. Still, President Biden remains optimistic.
On July 4, we're going to celebrate our independence from the virus as we celebrate our independence of our nation. We want everyone to be able to do that.
Today, Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra visited a mobile vaccine clinic in Aurora to encourage Latinos to get vaccinated. Latinos are lagging behind other demographics in getting their shots, though the gap is narrowing. There's another clinic tomorrow at the Municipal Center on Alameda. Walk-ins are welcome. A Denver nonprofit organization on a mission to get Latinos vaccinated is getting praise. A spokesperson says the Health and Human Services Department wants to share the key to their success. Denver7's Eddie Guajardo shows us how the organization is drawing in Latinos and meeting them where they're at.
Getting Latinos to roll up their sleeves requires some extra convincing.
A lot of them are scared about side effects.
Dr. Ricardo Gonzalez with Servicios de la Raza, a nonprofit organization, says it's also distrust in the government. It's why they go the extra mile.
We are trying to bring the vaccine to where the people live.
And volunteers are drawing them in with rhythm.
There's music, sometimes there's dance, there's food. We speak in Spanish. We make jokes.
This is one of dozens of pop-up clinics the nonprofit has held since the end of January, specifically targeting Latinos in Colorado. On Friday, they set up shop in the Federal Heights neighborhood.
It's probably about 40% of my district is Latino.
State Representative Kyle Mullica says only about 30 to 35% of the district's population is vaccinated.
It's just completely unacceptable.
It's why the district partnered with Servicios de la Raza, a nonprofit 49 years in the making that's built trust with the Latin community.
Well, I believe that at least between 50 and 60% of the people we vaccinated today are Hispanic or Latino.
In Colorado, Latinos make up 20% of the state's population, and nearly 10% are vaccinated, according to the state health department. The nonprofit has vaccinated more than 8,000 Latinos to date. While more work is needed, Rudy Gonzalez, the executive director of the nonprofit, says the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services praised their efforts and asked about the key to their success. The secret salsa recipe?
It is absolute consistency. It is being culturally responsive and linguistically specific.
And mobilization and persistence, he adds. The team recently received 2 new refrigerators from the state.
There you go. Isn't that a little beauty?
This one is military grade.
We don't have to wait for vaccines to get to us outside of Denver and on the trips that we're doing across Colorado.
It's going to be used in their mobile unit. The other one will stay in-house for evening vaccination clinics. The organization says they will continue their Vacuna Palooza tour across Colorado to get more shots into arms.
Venga a vacunarse, no tenga miedo. In English, I will say, come and get your vaccine, don't be afraid. It's worse to get COVID.
Addie Guajardo, Denver7.
Addie, thank you. Pop-up clinics are being held this weekend. For more information, head on over to thedenverchannel.com. And if you haven't gotten a shot yet, expect a call from the state starting Monday. Callers with the state health department will provide vaccine locations, help with scheduling, and answer questions. Pete, Vegas is the third winner of Colorado's Comeback Cash Vaccine Lottery. Vegas runs a food supply company in Boulder. Most of this money will go toward making his business more environmentally sustainable. The rest will be spent on more immediate needs for Pete and his wife.
Some of the money, I'm going to use to put a dent in some of my personal debts, mortgage, buy mountain bikes for Gene and I, maybe take a good vacation.
There are 2 more $1 million drawings to come. All you have to do to enter is get vaccinated. The Juneteenth flag is flying high at the state capitol tonight. Its colors serve as a reminder that slavery is as much of a part of our country's past as the Declaration of Independence. The star in the center in part represents Texas, where the last enslaved people learned they were free 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And if you head down to Denver's 5 Points neighborhood to celebrate Juneteenth, it's important to know its history. Here's Denver7's Micah Smith.
In the middle of these 4 streets in North Denver, you'll find the heartbeat of a community. 26th Avenue, Washington, 27th, and Welton Streets join together to create 5 distinctive points. Together in the 1870s, the 5 Points neighborhood shaped Black American life in the Mile High City. 5 Points started out as a neighborhood for all races. Once other neighborhoods started to grow and become more trendy, white Coloradans left and moved to other parts of town. Due to racial segregation and redlining, the practice of refusing to give loans or sell homes to buyers of color in certain parts of town, the majority of Black Coloradans were forced to remain in the 5 Points Whittier neighborhood. As Black Coloradans were subjected to the growing presence of the KKK in Colorado throughout the 1920s, 5 Points became a haven and a target of hate.
Louisville and Golden and parts of Colorado Springs were considered to be a haven for the Ku Klux Klan.
But even in the face of discrimination, this area thrived, with every storefront representing a Black-owned business.
My grandfather, Alexander Arthur Waller, had a business, opened a banking and realty business right next to the Rossonian. And that was kind of the center of the 5 Points area.
And the most famous musicians stay in its hotels.
Here's Billie Holiday. She was featured at the Rossonian, and Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington.
The good times rolled. The civil rights movement of the 1960s and the anti-discrimination legislation that followed meant Black residents were finally allowed to live in other parts of the city. But this resulted in many choosing to leave 5 Points, and the once thriving neighborhood with bustling storefronts saw a lot less traffic, less city investment, and higher crime. Slowly in the 1980s, businesses started to return, with staples like the Black American West Museum opening its doors, and efforts to preserve a number of other historic 5 Points sites and stories.
We are the gatekeepers for this culture. We are the historians, we're the librarians, we're the storytellers, we're the community activists.
Each year during Juneteenth, a holiday celebrating the day that the last slaves in the United States learned they were free, the heart of the city beats loudly in 5 Points. With jazz music, parades, and Black culture flowing through the streets, of a neighborhood so dear to so many. Reporting in 5 Points, Micah Smith, Denver7.
Micah, thank you. Tonight I hosted a special over on Channel 7 exploring 5 Points as it is today and what it could be down the road. You can watch that right now on Denver7 Plus, free for your streaming device. Juneteenth festivities kicked off tonight with a concert at Levitt Pavilion. The parade begins tomorrow morning at 11. A music and street festival in 5 Points also begins tomorrow and ends Sunday. Denver7 is a proud sponsor of the Juneteenth Music Festival.
He likes it here. We like it here. I trust the staff here. They're, just solid people.
But now this father is left wondering what will happen to his son after a youth detention center closes in Colorado.
He was supposed to get out in 30 days. Be placed back home, which is what we really want.
Temperatures were cooler today. Over the weekend, we're going to get some rain.
And that cool down is welcomed news for local HVAC companies.
With this heat wave, it's been insane. We're fielding roughly 100 to 120 calls a day.
But now they're worried about what the summer might bring.
I can't hire enough skilled labor people to service our demand right now.